organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, chaos on campus. Those riots at Iowa State last week got us asking, what if it happened at the University of Iowa? Does the school have a plan? Turns out they do. Details next.
And sustainable living. See what the future may hold for Iowa City.
And in sports, a look into what it takes to compete in a highly competitive club team.
We have it all at the top of the hour.
Daily Iowan TV starts now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Megan Sanchez.
And I'm Stefan Duran. First there were riots in Iowa State's campus, and then they broke out at the University of Minnesota. Riots are nothing new to college campuses, but when one happens closer to home, we tend to pay attention. Earlier today, I took a look at how the University of Iowa would handle potential riot situations if they happened in the future. The riots in Ames were nothing short of bizarre, but they have made local university officials aware of situations that could happen here in the coming months.
And usually when we have thought about it, has been around specific home football games, usually night games, where a lot was on the line.
Thousands of students and fans pack into this stadium every week to cheer on the Hawks. But unlike Ames, the space surrounding Kinnick is limited, which makes riot situations more dangerous.
The hospital, which is right across the street. And then you have residents right across on the other side of the street. So that really does increase the concern and risk when you're talking about maybe some unruly event happening.
When authorities plan for a possible situation, they meet with other departments around the area to set up safety and defense strategies. These plans are necessary, but preparing for them is the hard part.
That's a very big operation to involve that many agencies, and it's hours of preparation and then hours of execution in terms of the training.
The university does promote civil protests, and if the communication between students and administration stays a top priority, riots will be easy to avoid.
Nobody wants that to happen, and so I think students help us get the message out that if we just enjoy the game or enjoy the event and show a little restraint, things are going to work out well for everybody.
So as the upcoming football season approaches, police and faculty hope they can keep any dangerous situations contained.
Sustainability is often talked about in terms of reducing, reusing, and recycling. But now more attention is being drawn to policy making. Last night, experts and community members discussed the future for a sustainable economy here at home.
As part of a month-long sustainability discussion called the What If series, a panel of experts discussed the future of public policy about sustainability last night with community members. The discussion was centered around whether or not policy should be put in place to promote sustainability, and if so, how those policies should be made. At times, the discussion got pretty heated among community members.
I mean, the sustainability is great. This liberal view is great, but where's the idea that we're all living off that money?
2 UI experts in environmental economics and 1 Iowa City representative talked about the difficulties that face policymakers when trying to regulate environmental harm.
The scale of the problem should be the scale of the solution. Now, how do I start to regulate East Coast pollution when all the damages are occurring in the UK?
Strong said that since environmental harm stretch far beyond just the country making the damage, creating policies to address sustainability becomes a worldwide issue.
And the university is already working to promote sustainability on campus by trying to get buildings certified as LEED buildings, just like here at the College of Public Health. LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design.
Right now, the university has 8 buildings on campus certified as LEED buildings, with 1 set for certification this year. While environmental policy is discussed at the city, state, and national levels, the university hopes to promote a greener and more energy-efficient campus through their LEED initiative. Gabriella Dunn, Daily Iowan TV.
The What If series will continue every Tuesday night through the rest of the month.
The Benton Community School District and Sheriff's Office are investigating a threat written on a bathroom stall in the boys' bathroom. The threat said a student wanted to blow up the school on April 17th, as well as shoot people and kill himself. Since the threat, students have had their backpacks checked one by one, and only one entrance is open in the morning. The school is on lockdown all day.
The Iowa House passed a plan that would increase state funding to Iowa's 3 public universities, but the UI will see less of an increase than the other 2 schools. UI funding would rise by $4.5 million, Iowa State would increase by $6.9 million, and the University of Northern Iowa would rise $7.7 million. Democrats worry this plan will result in a tuition increase at the University of Iowa.
Well, now it's time to toss it over to our own Maria Palladino to find out what warm, or should I say cold weather, Mother Nature will be bringing along this week. Maria?
Thanks, Stefan. Thankfully, we can expect to see some warm weather that's actually going to last. Tomorrow morning brings temps around 38 degrees with partly cloudy skies, which will then rise to 52 degrees in the afternoon. In the evening, temperatures will decline slightly to 49 degrees with clouds lingering in the sky. Taking a look at the rest of the week, Friday will bring beautiful clear skies with high temps of 60 degrees. Finally, the temperatures we've all been waiting for. Saturday and Sunday will bring highs around 72 degrees and lows around 50. Saturday will bring a 30% chance of precipitation, but don't let that rain on your parade. Temps will stay in the 70s on Monday, but keep your eyes out for the rain clouds that may be rolling in. Finishing out the end of the week on a wonderful note, Tuesday brings clear skies with a high of 74. Enjoy the beautiful weather this weekend. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks for that, Maria. And now it's time for this week's edition of Hawkeye Bus.
We sent our own Megan Horahan out to find the latest buzz in Iowa City.
And what she found was an artist that uses his camera to look at the world in a different way. Take a look at Tony Ellis's microcosmic beauty photography.
What may look like an abstract painting is in fact something different. If you look a little closer, it is actually an enlarged photo.
He travels the country as a land agent, and he's always finding interesting things to take pictures of. And so these are his photographs.
Dumpsters, train cars, and deteriorated buildings are not the first things that come to mind when you think of art. But for artist Tony Ellis, this is where he finds his inspiration. This idea came from his work as a land agent in Colorado, finding beauty in things usually unnoticed.
Well, it's striking, it's colorful, it's dynamic, and it's not necessarily what you'd expect. You know, it looks like paintings, but it's images of, things that he sees.
Tony originates from England, but some of his work is on display at Chait Galleries here in downtown Iowa City. Chait Galleries brings 150 artists' work under one roof in Iowa City and has been doing so for 12 years now. Tony's art exhibit will remain at this gallery until they are sold or replaced with new artwork. Megan Horahan, Daily Iowan TV.
Chait Galleries is the first of its kind in the Iowa City area and houses a variety of visual art, including jewelry and photography.
Iowa Public Radio is looking for more money, and it's turning to Iowa's 3 public universities to find it. The radio station is asking the Iowa Board of Regents for $945,000 in funding for next year. Currently, the radio station is working on a plan to become independent of Regent funding. The board will consider the request in next week's meeting.
And now for a look at what's happening beyond Iowa. At least 4 people are dead today after a South Korean ferry capsized off the southern coast. The boat was carrying mostly high school students heading to an island for an overnight trip. Despite the large number of ships and helicopters searching, 280 people are still missing. 55 injuries have already been confirmed.
President Barack Obama and Vice President Joe Biden arrived in Oakdale, Pennsylvania today to announce their $600 million grant program. Employers across the nation say they are having a hard time finding skilled workers, so the grants will go toward training and apprenticeship programs in an effort to help more people land jobs.
We're just over a week out from open practice at Kinnick Stadium, and the Daily Iowan TV sports team went out with the coaches again today.
Let's toss it over to the Daily Iowan TV sports studio for the latest on spring football. Danny, Jalen.
Thanks, Megan. Welcome to the Daily Iowan TV sports studio alongside Jalen Socek. I'm Danny Payne.
A whole lot on tap tonight with baseball and lacrosse coming up, but first we start tonight's show on the gridiron with assistant coach Brian Ferentz.
Last season, Iowa's offensive line was one of the most consistent spots on the team, having the same 5 starters the whole season.
But due to the loss of right tackle Brett Van Sloten and left guard Connor Buffelli to graduation, offensive line coach Ferentz told media today he doesn't expect to see that same consistency in the next season.
I'm not naive enough to sit up here either and tell you that the same 5 guys are going to start every football game for us next year. I think we were very fortunate last year, but I don't think that's a realistic expectation. So right now, if you were to see us practice, what you'll see is guys playing different positions.
Iowa returns 3 of those starting linemen, 2 juniors, center Austin Blythe and right guard Jordan Walsh, and the other being left tackle Brandon Scherf.
Sheriff passed up an early exit for the NFL to return for his final season. Ferentz had a lot to say about his anchor linemen.
You try not to brag on players too much, and I know I sat up here last year and I answered a lot of questions about Brandon Scherf this and Brandon Scherf that, and I tried to temper the enthusiasm because at that time he really hadn't done very much. I feel very differently about him a year later. There's not a better offensive lineman in college football. That's my opinion. And I think you guys know after 2 years, and some of you knew me well before then, I don't say things like that lightly.
Now, Jalen, Hawkeye sports like football get everything planned and organized for them through the university. But for club sports, they have to do it all on their own.
That's right, Danny. For our weekly What It Takes segment, sports reporter Taylor Axelson took a look into the men's club lacrosse team to see just what it takes to plan and organize your own sports as a team captain.
It's a lot of fun, really. I mean, a bunch of guys. It's a whole different crew than what you're used to maybe on campus. It's fun to take something a little more serious in school. Kind of get out, run around, be competitive.
Holding a captain role, not having the C on your chest, but indirectly having that leadership role is really something special to me, especially with these guys.
These captains not only have to worry about being a leader to their team, but also about when a storm comes through and they're unable to practice on their fields because they look like this. And that's only the beginning.
Especially in the state of Iowa, the weather's so crazy here, but we try to handle it as calmly as possible. I mean, it can get kind of hectic at times, but it comes basically down to checking the weather on a day-to-day basis, making sure that if it is going to rain, we're getting in touch with other facilities to make sure that we are able to play there. If not, we kind of have to scramble around to find a place to play. But even that has costs too. If we have to use another facility, such as we did this past Sunday when we played, we have to get an insurance policy. We also have to pay the school to have them let us use the field. So it's pretty hectic and it's kind of stressful, but at the end of the day, we're just happy to play.
It's a lot of work scheduling that stuff, coordinating with other teams, other presidents, other captains. And a lot of things can go wrong, a lot of moving pieces.
So playing a game, first it starts off way early in the fall, right when school starts. Season's not until the spring, February is normally when it starts. You have to start talking to teams, okay, we owe you a home game, you owe us a home game. We can come to you these weekends because you have to get your conference games in, but then again, you also have to meet a minimum requirement of games to make nationals.
The minimum requirement is 12 games for nationals. This season, the lacrosse team has 7 away games and 7 home games scheduled. And how much for just one home game, you ask? It'll cost them about $2,000. This pays for the facility, insurance, the out-of-state referee travel, and any other fines. For an away game, toss in transportation, lodging, and food.
That's a pretty penny though for paying for 35 guys, and all their smelly equipment, but it's a lot of fun. I think it's for the love of the game, and like I said, Midwest weather, Midwest lacrosse. It hasn't grown as much as in the East. Syracuse, Virginia. We're hoping in the next few years, maybe Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, they'll all go D1. And right now we are stuck with the MCLA D1 club. Hopefully in the future we'll lead to bigger and better things.
This is Taylor Axelson, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Another sport trying to move on to bigger and better things this season has been the Iowa baseball team.
Last night, the Hawks rallied from a 4-run deficit against Western Illinois at home to tie the game in the bottom of the 9th inning, only to give up 2 runs in the top of the 10th to fall to Leathernecks 8-6.
In hopes to redeem themselves, the Hawks return to Big Ten play Friday at home as they host Minnesota in a 3-game series.
Unfortunately, that is all we have time for in tonight's show.
But be sure to tune in tomorrow as we take you behind the scenes of Iowa football recruiting. Guys, back to you.
Only with Daily Iowan TV can you get an inside look into Thursday's pages of the Daily Iowan. High-tech dentistry will take a closer look at the increased use of technology in the dentist's office.
And a new look for the courthouse. We'll examine the new plans for adding on to the Iowa City Courthouse.
Well, that's your most current edition of Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check us out tomorrow or anytime online at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for watching and have a great night.